Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. So we're going to wait for a few people to get in here, and then I want to talk about the power of the vote. I think the power of the vote is very important, and I think we need to have a discussion about that. I think that's very, 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 very important. Hey, Empower Me You, how are you? So I want to take the time today, if you saw the title of this live, I want to talk about the power of the vote and the political process. And I think that's very, very important for our community, especially in light of the fact of what just happened here. You know, I'm sure all of you guys are aware at this point that Ruth Bader Ginsburg just passed away. But I don't know that you understand the gravity of what that really means for this country. So I want to take some time to kind of go through some things and talk about it. You know, there was an interesting video I saw a couple of days ago. And, you know, it was this gentleman who was doing a rap song about kind of the political process. It was exactly about the political process. And, you know, I really liked what he did there, right? You know, the only one thing that he got wrong is, you know, he explained that Congress gets elected every 2 years. That's true for the House of Representatives, but senators serve 6-year terms, right? So federal senators serve 6-year terms. And I think it's very important that we understand that. But we're going to come back to that, right? So, you know, what you have to understand is that legal precedent and legal opinion in this country is shaped by the judicial branch, right? So legal precedent, legal opinion, that's shaped by the judicial branch here in the United States. And that starts with the Supreme Court of the United States. The Supreme Court sets precedents, legal opinion, and legal mentality for the entire judicial system in the country. So when you talk about criminal justice reform, when you talk about things like Roe v. Wade, when you talk about voter rights, when you talk about, you know, the legality of certain redistricting practices and things of that nature, that is shaped by our Supreme Court system, right? And so what happens here is wherever we are in the Supreme Court is what's going to be shaped. And right now there are 5 Republican Supreme Court justices sitting on the bench right now, which means that the Supreme Court at this point in time is leaning toward a very conservative, oftentimes non-pro African American stance. And that's a problem, right? Because they're shaping the opinion of the court system for the rest of the United States. See, Supreme Court justices, their job is to interpret constitutional law, interpret certain legal opinions that have been issued in the past, and then come to a consensus on what they believe it should be based on their constitutional review and interpretation, and based on their review, right, of certain legal opinions that have been issued previously relevant to this situation and or any situation for that matter. The dangerous thing about that, and this is what I try to explain to people when I talk to them about the judicial process, is that the laws are so widely and they're so wide and they're so broad that they're left up there's a lot of room for interpretation. And that interpretation falls upon people, first of all, based on their political ideology, right? Based on their background, based on who they are as people, based on what they believe and stand for. Not what they're saying publicly, but what they truly believe and stand for on the inside, right? So the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was very much a Democrat and very much even-handed on the bench, really is going to affect us. And it's not just going to affect us. This is probably the most drastic thing that's going to happen in the criminal justice world, in the legal world, in the judicial system in our generation and in the generation of our children. Because, see, Supreme Court justices get lifetime appointments. So that means if you get somebody that's in their 50s, I mean, they're going to be on that bench for 30, 40 years before they pass away. And so that means that they're going to have a hand in shaping judicial policy, judicial potential, judicial positions, judicial opinions across the nation for 30, 40 years. And a lot of the things that have been put in place can easily be undone at this point. And when things are undone and things are put into place that make it harder for us as a community, while it may take 30 years to undo what's already been done, it'll take another 30 years to fix that. We're talking about 60 years of setback, 60 years of reset. So that is a serious, serious, serious problem. So let me explain to you how important the vote is. The vote, our vote matters. It matters. And I know a lot of people don't believe that, but it does. It matters. When you stay home and you don't vote and you say, well, I don't like Trump, but I don't like Biden and I don't like Kamala Harris either for whatever reasons, so I'm just not going to vote. What that is a silent vote for the other side. Because their people are going to show up and vote. Believe that these white people are going to show up and vote. And so every vote that's not cast on our side, every vote that's not cast in our community is a silent vote for them. It's a silent vote for their position. Because it's one less vote for ours. And that is the difference. Let me explain to you how it works. The President of the United States, they're the ones that get to nominate the Supreme Court justice. Senate only confirms and approves, right, whoever is nominated and brought to the table.
1345.
So if it's a Republican president, of course, they're only going to nominate people that are in alignment with their positions, their values, their interest, their goals. And we already know for a fact that Donald Trump is not aligned with anything that benefits our community overall, at all. So another Supreme Court justice that has his similar ideologies, his similar values, his similar core belief system is a detriment for our community. Now, let's talk about how the Senate works. So there are 100 members of the United States Senate. 100. Okay? Generally, when a law comes up to be voted on in the Senate, there is something, if the minority party does not like that law, they can do what's called filibustering. What is a filibuster? A filibuster means that they can stand on the Senate floor and debate and debate and debate. And they can debate, literally debate, a legal position or a piece of legislation to death. There are some exceptions to this. There are ways that the majority party can get around this. One is called unanimous consensus. Unanimous consensus is when the Senate Majority Leader, and the Senate Majority Leader is the person that is in charge or the head of the party that has majority of the seats in the Senate, right? So the Senate Majority Leader can come to the floor and ask for what's called unanimous consent. Unanimous consent is whereby he asks if anybody has any further objections. If no one says anything, that's 100% unanimous consent. They can move the bill forward for a vote. The other thing that he can ask for or make a motion for is an act of cloture. What is cloture? So what cloture is that 3/5 of the members present at that moment can take a vote. And if they have 60%, they can move forward with a vote. So if all 100 members are present, if they can get 60 members to go with the agreement or the desire to move the bill forward for a vote, they can move it forward for a vote and end the debate or the filibuster. It's called breaking the filibuster. So that's called cloture. However, there are exceptions to cloture. So in 2014 and 2017, there were some amendments made in the Senate. So now, so let's say when it comes to executive branch appointments and federal judicial appointments, the majority of the members in House or the majority leader does not need cloture. He does not need a 3/5 majority. He needs a simple majority. A simple majority is 51 votes to move the bill forward to a vote. What does that mean? Currently, the Republican Party has 53 members in the United States Senate. That means that if Donald Trump moves a nomination forward and presents a nomination to Congress, to the Senate, right? Which is the upper house of Congress. So it's all Congress, but you have a lower house and an upper house. The lower house is the House of Representatives. The upper house is the Senate, right? So if he brings a nomination forward to Senate, Mitch McConnell, who is the majority leader, a Republican in a Republican-controlled Senate, has already said that Donald Trump will have the support of the Senate. They will vote. Which means that because we as a community did not vote at the polls in the strong, overwhelming droves that we did when Obama was running in 2008, right? Now we have a guy in power that can bring a new Supreme Court justice to the bench that is not pro-us. And it is very likely that he will do that before the election. Why? Because there is concern that he may not win the election. And so, because he knows he has the votes, because he knows he has the support, of course, this is right time for him to nominate a Supreme Court justice. And that is going to be a Republican. The whispers now are Ted Cruz, Senator Ted Cruz. That is a disaster for us. That means they're going to have 6 people on the bench that are Republican. They have an overwhelming majority. They are going to be able to shape legal opinion in this country for a generation. This isn't going to just affect us. This is going to affect our kids. These are perilous times. And I can't encourage enough the importance of the vote. Not just in general elections. You have to vote in the congressional elections. When you see that your federal senators are up for re-election, that is your time to go to the polls and voice your opinion with your vote. When you see your House of Representatives, your representatives in the House for your state, for your district, are up for re-election. House of the Representatives in the lower house, the House of Representatives comes up for election every 2 years. Senators come up for election every 6. Pay attention to these things, because these are the people that are shaping the legislation that affects us. That is reality. These are the things that people need to know and understand about our political process. See, because when a president nominates a United States attorney, guess what happens? That United States attorney shapes sentiment and positioning and overall thought processes for the entire prosecutorial branch nationwide, not just federal. Because the state district attorneys follow the sentiment of the United States Attorney's Office. So, for example, you had Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions is the United States Attorney. Guess what Jeff Sessions, when he came in, he issued a memorandum to all United States attorneys that said prosecute harder. Get the strongest convictions you can get the strongest charges you can get, and nail them to the wall. That means every United States attorney in every district. That means every assistant United States attorney that works under every United States attorney followed that sentiment. That hurts our community. These are the realities. The President of the United States has a lot of power when it comes to these executive branch nominations. And if we don't let our voices be heard via the vote, they will continue to be in a power that allows them to continue to handicap us as a community. That's reality. These are the facts as they are. You can hurt a person a lot more with a pen than you can with marching, protesting, burning stuff down. While that has a temporary effect, the long-term effect is the way you hurt people with a pen, the way you demonstrate long-term change with the vote, the way you fight to get people in position to be able to shape and craft legislation that benefits our community. Why is it that you think they redistrict? What do you think redistricting is about? Let me explain it to you. So when in a state or a city, when they decide that they want to invoke or employ an economic development strategy, right? We know it as the word gentrification. And when I teach you guys about urban planning and development, I'm going to explain to you how this works, right? But when they begin to redevelop an area, of course, more Caucasian people move into that area. Now, here's what happens. Remember that because that area was historically black, that means that the senator or the representative for that district is more than likely black. And more than likely is going to fight legislatively to protect the gains of that district. So when they're in the process of gentrification and white people begin to move in, but black votes still have the majority, what they'll do is what's called redistricting. They'll redraw the lines in a way that changes the ethnic makeup, the racial makeup of that district to give the white people a stronger majority in the vote, so that way they can elect the representative that is going to serve their interest the best, not ours. That is what the power of redistricting is. This is why it is very important to own real estate, not just rent. This is reality. But if you don't show up to the polls, if you don't vote, then you have no way to protect yourself. If we as a community do not make our voices heard at the polls where it matters the most, we will always be silent in the legislative process. And legislation will continue to be put in place that is not for our benefit, but to our detriment. These are the truths of life. You have to get out and support your politicians, not just with your vote, but with your dollars. It's expensive to run a campaign for a seat in the House of Representatives or the Senate. It takes money. So if we want people in power and we want to give them a chance to fight and have a chance to actually win, we don't just support them with our votes, we support them with our political contributions. We donate money to the political campaign to strengthen their chance to win, so we can be in a position to have legislation that benefits us. But if you're not willing to support the politicians that will most benefit you with your dollars and with your vote, there's no sense to complain about what's happening. Because when you had a chance to make a difference, when you had a chance to make a change, you chose to do nothing. You chose to remain silent when it mattered the most. And so now you can't cry victim after the fact. We handicap ourselves because of the lack of knowledge. We handicapped ourselves because we don't truly understand the far-reaching implications of the political process. If you really want to make a difference, you need to get out there and vote. If you don't want to leave your house, get an absentee ballot and vote via the mail. But vote. Vote. You have got to vote. Because even if you take the lesser of two evils position, I'd much rather see Biden and Kamala Harris in the office. I'd much rather see that than another 4 years of Donald Trump. Because let me tell you something else. Presidents are term limited to 2 terms. If Donald Trump gets a second term, he doesn't have to worry about another election. He becomes what's known as a lame duck president. And if you think he showed his ass this 4 years, I promise you, as a lame duck that does not have to worry about re-election, he's going to show every inch of both of his ass cheeks. Believe that. And we as a community are going to suffer for years to come. We do not need that. We do not want that. So if we don't want that, we need to show up to the polls and vote. Vote. Do you realize that in some districts in these swing states, Donald Trump only won by 3 votes? 3 votes. And in those same districts, they had a much lower voter turnout in the African American community than they did in the run-up to 2008 when we were voting for Obama. So that means if 4 black people would have just showed up to the polls and cast a vote, sent in an absentee ballot, we wouldn't be looking at Donald Trump as the president of the United States right now. Such is the difference. Because one thing I can tell you for sure, there are a lot of Caucasians in the United States saying that they don't support Donald Trump publicly. But I can't tell, because they definitely supported him quietly at the polls. Because had they not have, he would not have won the Electoral College. See, that's the other thing. You can lose the popular vote and still win the presidency, because the popular vote does not determine the president. The Electoral College does. It's about winning the states that matter. It's about winning the delegates in those states by winning those states from a voting standpoint. It comes down to what are known as battleground states, swing states. That's what it comes down to. So it is extremely important for African Americans in swing states to show up and vote. Iowa, Florida, Ohio, New Hampshire. These are swing states. We need you at the polls. Vote. Make your voices heard. Please make your voices heard. I cannot stress to you enough the importance of this thing here. If we want change, real change, it has to be legislative. We have to begin to fight legislatively. We have to begin to put ourselves in a position to shape the laws of this country in a manner that benefit our community. We have to take a different approach to the way we go about doing things. It's easy to complain. It's easy to cry. It's easy to pout. It's easy to say how much you hate the president. The words are easy. Take action. If you don't like something, change it. In this situation, you change it by making your voice
1405
at the polls. That's how it works. Guys, I cannot stress this enough. Get out and vote. Get out and vote. Vote. We gotta change the situation here. We have got to. We cannot continue to fail our community at the polls. We can't continue to fail ourselves. If you want better school funding for the schools in the area that you live, guess what? That comes down to federal and state appropriation. If you want better appropriations, you better start voting for people that care about these types of issues and are willing to go to bat for our community at the state house and federal house level to ensure that we get what we got coming to us. That's reality. Nothing changes if you don't do that. Nothing will change. Nothing. You want better policing in your area? You better start participating in your municipal elections. That means your city councilman. That means your mayor. These are the people that can pass ordinances and directives that force police officers to better police your communities. You want more state appropriation for your schools, more state appropriation for, different types of government benefits? You not in the game if you not voting. It's easy to march in the street. It's easy to throw a couple garbage cans. It's easy to light some stuff on fire. It's easy to do that. But it's a lot easier to vote. It's a lot easier to vote. You ain't got to waste no energy to do that. All you got to do is get up, go down to the polls before the polls close, and cast a vote. That's it. Just vote. Vote. Y'all tired of police not being prosecuted for the stuff that they're doing in our community? They're killing us like dogs in the street. You tired of seeing that? Then you need to vote when your district attorney comes up for re-election. Because the district attorney's office is the one that decides if they're going to prefer charges or not. If they're going to move forward with an indictment, or at least trying to bring an indictment to a grand jury. You got to vote for it. If you want there to be legislation in place that makes it a criminal offense automatically to shoot an unarmed person in general, then guess what? That is federal legislation that needs to be passed. And in order to get that legislation passed, you got to vote for people that are going to be willing to fight for that type of legislation. So, Rico Cali 2050 said, vote between two bad candidates. A lot of people feel that way. I get that. A lot of people feel it's the lesser of two evils. But would you rather see Donald Trump in the office another 4 years as a lame duck president who's going to definitely show both sides of his ass cheeks because he doesn't have to worry about a re-election? Or do you want to get him out of the office and put somebody in there that at least is going to make more of an effort for the community? Studies show that Democrats do more for the African American community than Republicans do. They expand social benefits, for example. That's very important. While Republicans will defund social benefits. Rico, I understand what you're saying. Trump hasn't done anything to me but lower my taxes. It's not just about you. It's about the collective community. Some people don't have the income to worry about a lowering of taxes. They have bigger issues. Some people don't live in, these upper echelon communities. Some people live in the projects. They need assistance. And that's the problem right there. I vote for my interest. The biggest problem in our community, to be honest with you, is that everybody's working on individualism instead of working on collective community upliftment, collective community enrichment, and things that will better the entire collective of the community long term. Let me give you some facts, right? There was a time in history not so long ago that the Jewish community, right, was considered a second-rate community in this country. There was a period of time, and in fact, Ruth Bader Ginsburg actually graduated from law school in this time, where Jewish lawyers, Jewish law school graduates could not get into the top tier, upper echelon law firms. They were blackballed. They were not allowed in simply because they were Jews. So do you know what they did? Instead of working as individuals and focusing on individualism, they focused on the collective community. They pooled their resources together and they started their own law firms. And they began to practice an esoteric area of the law at that time called mergers and acquisitions and leverage buyouts. Things that were frowned upon by the then white shoe law firms. And guess what happened? As corporate law, as corporate structure and corporate strategy began to morph, progress, and expand, these areas of the law became in high demand. And guess what? Because these Jewish law firms had it down to a science, now these Jewish law firms are some of the most powerful law firms in the world. Wilkie Farr and Gallagher, Skadden Arps, Mager, and Flom. Just to name two. Clary Gottlieb, Steen, and Hamilton, to name another. Wachtell, Lipton, Rosins, and Katz, to name another. All Jewish-ran law firms that are some of the most powerful law firms in the world. Wachtell, Lipton, Rosins, and Katz is so powerful, so well connected, and so surgical with the way that they move that they don't even post their billable hours. If they take you on, if they decide to take you on, they do the work and they send you a bill. And it's astronomical and you pay it because of who they are. That's power. I can speak to Teaneck, New Jersey. Let me tell you what they did in Teaneck, New Jersey. In Teaneck, New Jersey, for a period of
14-15.
Right? I don't know what time it is. Give me a second. In Teaneck, New Jersey, for a period of time, the Jewish community, right, was not getting a fair shake from a legislative standpoint when it came to their Jewish customs, traditions, and holidays. Guess what they did? They formed their own coalition. They formed their own community. They voted people into power that would shape city ordinance to their benefit. And now Teaneck, New Jersey's school system works on the Jewish calendar. The whole city's school system closes on all Jewish holidays. That is the power of the vote. That is the power of collective mentality. That is the power of collective thinking. They shop, they spend their money in their communities. The worst part is the Jewish community will open businesses in our community, take our dollars, and they don't reinvest them in our community. They go reinvest them in their community. They take care of each other. They have indigent relief funds and everything specifically designed to take care of their community. They have huge lobbying bodies. That's why they have such a strong voice in media. That's why they have such a strong power hold on finance, entertainment, law, all of the things that really matter, that are high revenue generating, they have a strong foothold in because of collective mentality and collective thinking. And this is where we as a community fall down. We're always only worried about us and nobody else. We always deal in whatever's beneficial for me personally, and to hell with the community. And then you wonder why we get taken advantage of as a community. We are disconnected. We are disjointed. This is why we don't have the power of financial literacy in the community. Because everybody wants to charge for the most basics of things these egregious prices. That's the truth. It's all about collective thinking. And if we come together as a community, we will do better as a community. And shockingly enough, you'll actually make more money because you have the power of the collective community instead of just yourself. I'm sure everybody's heard the acronym for TEAM. Together, each achieves more. That's a fact. No one got anywhere far by themselves. It takes support. But if we're going to continue to work as individuals, continue to move with the crabs in the bucket mentality, continue to say only me and forget everybody else, all for me, none for them, all for me at the cost of the community, well, we're never going to get very far, and we're never going to be able to overcome the overall situations that plague our community. Every other community is collectively coming together to protect themselves and benefit themselves. And the worst part is, because we are so disjointed, because we are so dislocated as a community, it makes it easy for Caucasians to come in and harm us. Because we don't have the power of the collective to protect us. It's easy for a group to come in and attack one. It's much harder for a group to come in and attack another group that's working collectively. So if we want change, it starts with us. It starts with a better thought process. It starts with understanding the power of team, the power of collectivity, the power of unity. We need unity in our community. We got to stop tearing each other down. We got to stop attacking each other. We got to stop taking advantage of each other. And instead of somebody getting to the top and someone trying to pull them down, how about somebody's crawling to the top, they're getting there, we support them and push them all the way up so they can reach down and pull somebody up with them, and then that person can reach down and pull somebody else up, and we continue to elevate in this collective fashion as a community. Because that's about the only way we're going to get change around here. So I said what I wanted to say. My conversation overall was about the power of the vote and how important it is that we get out there and vote in the polls coming up here in November. And not just in the presidential portion of the polls. Everything that can be voted for, you need to put a vote down for. Don't vote for one and skip everything else. No. Everything needs to be voted for. Cast a ballot for everything, not just one thing. Let's do better, y'all. Let's do better. As always, y'all, it's a pleasure talking to y'all. You know, I hope at least one person heard what I was saying here. And I hope at least it encourages one more person to get out there to them polls in November and cast a vote. I hope everybody has a great day. As I always say, you know, it's hashtag for the free around here. We hashtag get real woke around here. And we hashtag make it make sense. Please like, subscribe, follow, share, and tell anybody that you can think of that you might think can benefit from the information that I provide on a regular basis. Always hashtag for the free. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a blessed day. And I see y'all tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow is Sunday. So I see y'all tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Understanding Credit Part 4. Y'all enjoy y'all day.